people with retirement top of mind right now, it is easy to focus only on building up your savings, but what really matters is how you turn that money into steady income when that paycheck stops, which is why Matt Landon, certified financial planner and CEO of Senmax Financial Group, is with us. Okay, I do think that's what people think, right? Saving. They think long term. But you say there's a much bigger financial picture.
There is, and one of the things you have to focus on is things like long-term care. So when people talk about long-term care, they think about that as a one-time expense. We're just going to pay for long-term care. It's going to be taken care of. We're either going to pay out of pocket or we're going to use insurance. But for those thinking about, let's say, long-term care out of pocket, oftentimes what you don't consider is the tax implications. And you go, well, wait a minute, I thought we could have deductions. Well, there are, but it can still have an impact on your Medicare premiums. And usually with long-term care, you have one spouse who needs care before someone else. And so then there becomes a question of, am I going to take care of things in home? Is it going to be external? So I think the tax piece is probably the one that gets missed the most. But the other piece is the emotional weight, right? The emotional cost. And I think you have to factor that in when we're talking about our finances. There's more than just what is this on a spreadsheet or what is this on my balance sheet, but what is the total cost of this going to be?
Yeah, that makes me feel like overwhelmed all at once when I think about all that, because I do think we have talked about like long-term care and people, put their money in it and they think that it's done and it's over with. So what are some of the ways that we can structure things differently so that we aren't getting hit with those tax consequences, so that doesn't have to be a surprise for us?
Well, unfortunately, when it comes to long-term care specifically, there's more than one way you can address it, and not every solution applies to everyone. Okay. Not everyone can afford to pay out of pocket. Not everyone is going to be eligible for traditional long-term care insurance, but there's also different insurance products like life insurance with living benefits. There's different other products you can use. There's multiple strategies that can be employed. I would say the key thing is when it comes to long-term care is understanding which one makes sense for me. Which one should I use in my plan? And beyond that, looking at it and saying, what do we want? What are we trying to accomplish? Do I want to stay in the home? Do I want to be able to help care for my spouse? Or what if they're not there? How do things look? And what impact is this going to have both financially, but also emotionally? So I would say start with the end in mind of what are we trying to accomplish?
Mm-hmm. I think that is so overwhelming just for the pure fact of people just say, do you want long-term health care? And they say, yes, right? Yeah. And then they think about all those other different things. So what's a simple step that they should take first to get this kind of conversation started?
I would say the place to start is with a conversation. It's like begin with talking about it, because so much of the time we don't want to address these kinds of things. Mm-hmm. We realize, all right, that's an issue, but I really don't like it. It's not a comfortable topic, so we're just going to put it to the side. And I think the place to start is with a frank conversation of what do we want to see happen. And when you sit down with someone like a CFP, when you sit down with someone who has these different options available, if you just begin with this is where we're trying to get to, this is what we would like to see happen, then you can work backwards and say, okay, what's the appropriate structure? What's the appropriate tools? And keeping in mind, so many of the time, it's really about asking the right questions. And you can begin with saying, okay, we want to have a conversation about long-term care, but I don't know what questions to ask. Mm-hmm. Where do I even begin? And that's usually the most valuable thing is to just begin by having the conversation to start with.
Yeah, with someone who knows, who can tell you the pros and the cons and things of that nature. So we appreciate you and your expertise. We're going to post this entire conversation on our website under the tab called To Finance Your Future. We'll be right back.